Hello everybody and welcome back to Muramasa the Demon's Blades. This is Kisuke's post-game boss fights. So, funny story about this specific part of the video series for the post-game. By this point I get really, cocky, for lack of a better term. I'm like, yeah, I know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm gonna have a little fun, experiment with a couple things, and, I get beat to shit a lot during this boss fight. For varying reasons, which I will explain during each instance. But for now, let's just say, LPing has made me a bit too big in my britches, and it's gonna be shown here that, well, explained here, I don't actually show it, that, yeah, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing half the time. Right now I'm looking at Kisuke's alternate swords. Like, you really have no reason not to use Descent into Misery and Threads of Fate because they are your best weapons. But I figure showing off the alternate swords is probably a better option. So our first fight is going to be Wanyudo. Now, if you actually explored throughout Kisuke's story, you eventually got a salamander robe, which trivializes this fight. Now, I decided to eat some sweet potato soup, which gives me, item acquisition, which is kind of worthless for this fight. Like, you don't get any items from Wanyudo, you just get you get one specific item and nothing else. This is also a good example of how, elemental attributes would be an interesting thing for this game, because the secret weapon here is Quad Blaze. Well, the secret art here is Quad Blaze, I should say. And I feel like that should do either extremely mitigated or no damage to Wanyudo. In fact, I don't think I ever use it here. It's basically your auto combo, but with fire explosives. But yeah, Wanyudo's a chump. Granted, he's the second boss of Momohime, but he's never really, tough. Yeah, right there. I do a lot of damage with Quad Blaze, and I feel like with, elemental matchups, that shouldn't be the case. If you want to get a lot of cheap damage, you could actively block these fireball attacks back at him. I think the big thing about bosses is that if any of them float, like if they are able to be juggled or float, I could just easily cheese them with a combo, which is kinda sad when I think about it. I really should do more variety in things, but I think at this point in the LP I'm mainly focused on speeding things up rather than showing off. It also doesn't help that Wanyudo is pretty beefy HP-wise at this point in the game. Now, one weapon art that we got is Fairy Inferno, which is what I was hoping Vengeance would be. It's 3 fireballs that explode on contact, and it's really good. I kind of wish there was a late game option, because I'd use that all the time. For that, we get the Cowbell. Yeah, stifle the jokes, I know what you're thinking. Cowbell, though, is basically a, it's the opposite of the, Sneaky Slippers. It increases enemy encounters. Just gonna, you know, throw that away. Bury it under many protective wards. I don't want that thing. Getting a couple new weapons here, playing around. So here's my mindset for this playthrough. I thought the final boss before the final boss of each character would give the bracelet of the Diva King. So my mindset here was, I'm gonna fight Raijin and hope I get a good alternative. That's not the case. Every boss gives a specific item. If I wanted Bracelet of the Diva King, I should have fought Dragon King again, or Dragon God again. But we did get a good alternative for Raijin. Also, fun little note about the Raijin fight, she actually killed me. During one of the fights, I got hit by the Big Bang Punch, and it was a bad thing for everyone, including myself. I like the weapon art Holy Illusion a lot because it's one of the few weapon abilities that is affected by your location. When I say affected by location, if you're on the ground, you do an uppercut slash, but if you're in the air, you do a downward stab. And it's really good. Here's also the thing that I never showed off during Momohime's fight of this boss fight. If you break all of Raijin's drums, she goes into a stun phase. That is the best way to get damage in on Raijin, because, yeah, she stays in this phase for a long time, and it's an entire bar's worth of damage. So if you got the weapon arts for it, go kill her drums and you'll have an easy boss fight. That being said, she's still no spring chicken. I can't believe I used that phrase, what? Like, at any point in the game, Raijin is really tough because she has a lot of moves that'll just trap you in corners, and she does a boatload of damage. And the drums don't help because they also act as interference for your attacks. Now here we go. Oh, is it here? Nah, it's the next one. Something happens that scares the living hell out of me. Right here. I got hit again. Interesting attribute about the Big Bang Punch. There are actually two hurt boxes. The Big Bang itself and the punch. If you get hit dead center, that's 2 hits at 3,000 damage each. And I think that the damage scales because of Chaos Mode. So suffice to say, if you get hit by the Big Bang Punch dead center, you're gone. Also, I didn't know that her dropkick had a lightning shockwave. Raijin's always a fun fight, though. I like her gimmick. It's a really good play on her folklore. And it's never really a easy fight, which pleases me. Yeah, right now I'm trying to. So another thing I forgot to mention. At about this time of these recordings, I've been playing a lot of Odin Sphere. And in Odin Sphere HD, you get rank based on blocking. So, in my mind, I'm like, hey, I should block and get a little extra grade so I can get that S rank. And then I realized, wait a minute, I don't get graded in Muramasa, and then I broke my sword. Meteor 3 is a really good ability just by merit of it takes so long to animate that you have a lot of invincibility frames. I got punched again. Now that's a bad spot to be in. 200 HP? No way. I was really hoping I'd get the kill with that downward stab, but I'll have to suffice with the uppercut. And for beating Raijin, we get the Tablet of the Body Tree. This is what I was talking about earlier in Momohime's video. This weapon gives you attack power based on the number of souls you have. Now, an interesting thing about Chaos Mode, your souls scale off your level. So at one point, basic encounters will give you anywhere between 5,000 to 7,000 souls. So in terms of the late game, really good item. Let's look at Kisuke's final sword, the Blade of Infinite Flame. but I still haven't quite realized how this system works. Next up we have the Blue Monk. It's the Blue Monk. There's really no explanation needed for it. The interesting thing about this is actually the shortest boss fight of the Kisuke fights. I wonder why. But yeah, here I use the longsword since everybody's been asking for it. And the Blade of Infinite Flame has a really good sword art. It's a uppercut slash into a downward stab with a volcano of fireballs. If you ever had to use a longsword, this is the one you use. It's really fucking good. Especially since it uses no meter whatsoever. I'm actually a little sad that I use so much of it because this is by far my favorite longsword. And depending on the boss you use it on, Hellfire is really good because you can hit every fireball. Like, Blue Monk is one of those bosses where it's really good to hit it with. Yeah, unfortunately, he's been given a lot more HP in the post-game, so he's not going to be as much of a chump. Now, one of the achievements in the game is beat a boss without taking damage, and for Blue Monk, he's probably the easiest person to do it to, but you gotta worry about two things. A, those gold talismans, and B, he has a really fast karate chop with no tell. I say no tell, but it basically shares a tell with a longer looking attack. So, if you're trying to go for the no damage achievement, that's gonna be, those are the attacks you gotta look out for. Sadly, I don't have that achievement yet. The achievements in Muramasa are really hard. One of them is beat the game in 3 hours, the other is don't take any damage from a boss. Oh, that's another one. There's a third one where I looked at it and said, I'm not gonna do that. And for beating Blue Monk, we get the Pandemonium Seal. The Pandemonium Seal is a great item for grinding that you should get on people that are underleveled, which I didn't do. It increases XP by 20% but shortens your maximum HP. I don't get this for Momohime, which is why my grind for her later on is really tedious in retrospect. But this is also the root cause for a lot of deaths, says Kisuke. So here we're gonna fight Yukinojo. We're gonna fire our former employer with blood. Also, another good thing that I failed to mention, Cornucopia Stew increases EXP as well and uses every ingredient. So if you get that and the Pandemonium Seal, you can get a lot of EXP. Little pro tips on how to grind in the post-game that I completely forgot about. It's Yukinojo, he's the same as ever. In fact, I think I disrespect him here, because at this point I was thinking, you know, I never used the Yuchimori whetstones, I should try them out. And here comes Big Bad Manners. Bye, Yukinojo. Oh, there goes my sword. Yeah, the Yuchimori whetstone does not last a long time. Also, the skill Hellfire, not really good against Yukinojo just because his hitbox is not that big. Is it Yuchimori or Uchimori? I think it's Uchimori. Whatever. I mispronounced it and now I'm gonna get yelled at in the comments. But yeah, once you get Yukinojo's sword broken, he's a chump. It's sad, really, because he's a really cool fight, but his entire flaw is dependent on the fact that he's basically a reskinned enemy. And the fact that you could juggle him really kind of undermines his boss fight in some ways. Holy Illusion is a weapon skill I like a lot, but it also doesn't have a lot of utility. It's meant to be a combo reset more than anything, but I don't know, I just really like using it. I should have done the holy comet trick again. That was funny as hell. Yeah, we never saw that geyser uppercut. That's one of Momohime's starting skills. And Yukinojo has it as well, which kind of makes him a fun fight in my opinion. A lot of the techniques he has are ones that you get as well. But since I pretty much just completely obliterate him, he doesn't show them off all that much. At least we got to see the big wave slash during Momohime's story. God, I got juggles in this fight like it's Marvel too. One thing I like about the sword breaker thing, that's the little front flip slash that I always do, it tracks relatively well, so you can't outright miss it. But yeah, for beating Yukinojo, we get the Dragon God Gauntlets. Okay item? Not really that great when you have the Tablet of the Bodhi Tree or the Gauntlets of the Diva Gauntlets. They're pretty good, though. I think I'll stick with the Pandemonium Seal. That won't cause any problems, no sir. So for the Chimera, I'm stubborn. I died 5 times to the Chimera because I would not take off that Pandemonium Seal for the life of me. However, I learned a lot about him. He has a lot of patterns that are very hard to notice until you fight him a good 3 or 4 times. So, enjoy. These are the fruits of my stubbornness and pain. Let's get this shit started. He starts off with this fireball wave, good for getting damage in, doesn't really do anything to stun him. However, the big gimmick lies in when he starts spinning, which is eventually. I think he doesn't start spinning until after, there we go. So when he starts spinning, he has 2 patterns. He will either bounce 4 times or bounce 2 times. Right here, he bounced 2 times. If you reflect all the fireballs back, I mean all of them, he will get stunned and allow you to do damage on him. If you don't do that, if you miss even 1, he will do the tornado. Now, if he doesn't hit you with the tornado, he gets it put into a stun phase also. Now, the thing about this is his stun phases don't last long. You get at best 1 auto combo, and then you have to leave or else he'll hit you. His other bounce thing, if he bounces 4 times, like so, he will do a charge attack. If he misses that, he will be put into a stun state. These are very important for dealing damage to him. But never ever get greedy with Chimera, because he punishes greediness. You only want to get 1 combo in and then get out. Mainly because, I'm going to say this right now, that tornado is a bastard and a half. So if he ever does the fireballs, you want to exploit that. Also, another good boss to use Hellfire on, just by merit of him being so big. It's a shame those fireballs don't stun, because that would be a good opportunity to get in some extra damage. But yeah, there will be one point where he goes apeshit and just exclusively does slash attacks. I would say evade then, because the hitbox for that is really big and you can't exactly get a combo out on him when he does that. Cool little combo I did there, too bad it got punished. But yeah, suffice to say, I learned a lot from losing to Chimera a lot, which is good. It's good to know that this boss has a pattern. I just wish I knew it sooner. And I also wish I'd just taken off the fucking Pandemonium seal. Really though, it's this is just an exercise of patience. Mainly because you may not have much HP, it's just the fact that you never really have any good opportunities to attack him. And I think a fireball killed him there, that's kind of funny. Now for beating Chimera, we get the Jade Magatama. This increases soul acquisition, which is good because it allows you to catch up on swords, but it also directly increases the tablet of the Bodhi tree. I think I tried to use that at one point, but then I realized I'm not exactly starving. I'm not exactly jonesing for fights in this run, so stick with tablet of the Bodhi tree. Next up is Ippon Datsura. Nothing new to learn here, unfortunately. He's still the same old guy, but with sword arts we get now, he's actually a lot easier just because your weapons are not gonna be as easily broken. I also learned one new thing about Ippon Datsura, actually. He's always gonna start off the fight with this kick. So just roll away. Don't fall for the speed trap. Also, that kick breaks your sword. Don't block it. Yeah, if you've been wondering why I don't use longswords, I'm appreciating them for what they are, but I still don't like them. But I will merit that they are useful if you take the time to learn them. That's kind of why I always have one, because I do recognize the fact that there is a use for the longsword. It's just a very specialized use. Yeah, this is a fight that makes Holy Illusion 3 really good, because you could just get rid of those explosions and not give a shit. And by doing that, those little spinny fireball things, those basically become free damage because you're not using them to block the fireballs. Or you could just headbutt them like that. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking there. One thing I've kind of noticed about Ippon Datsura's animations, his arm looks really fucking weird from a viewer standpoint. Because if you look at how he punches and how he swings his arms, it's not only a really weird, like, flailing arm motion, he has a very noodly arm, and I never noticed that until now. I think about this point I learned, don't block the kick. But a funny thing about this fight is that we actively damaged him so hard at one point that he just phases right back into his pig form. Forget where, though. Either that or I might be thinking of a boss raid fight from the DLC characters. Because I know for a fact you cannot beat this boss when he's in Sky Giant mode. He can only die if he's in Pig mode, and I know this for a fact because they force you to attack him in Pig mode. Like right here. I think when he hits a certain health threshold, he does that. And there you go, fans of the longsword. Longsword kill. Also a pig roast. For beating Ipadatra, we get the Amulet of Izumo. I actually forget what this does, I gotta look it up now. It increases spirit power recovery from absorbing souls. This basically means during a fight, when you absorb souls from an enemy, your meter gets restored a lot more. Not that useful in my opinion. Okay, so this bears explanation. I figured out the pattern for Demon Boss. He actually has a very obvious pattern that I haven't realized until the second time I fought him on the DLC character. I had to fight him 4 times to learn his pattern, but it's a very obvious pattern. What you gotta do is, you gotta get on top of his head and then beat him down to the point where he gets stunned. After he gets stunned, he does an attack animation where he grabs you and then he eats you. You want to be grabbed because he takes 200% more damage while you're in his stomach, which makes a lot of sense. But yeah, that's how you trivialize Boss Demon. However, I don't know that for this fight. So the fight starts off easy enough. You appear in his stomach because that's how the boss fight starts. And yeah, you do a lot of damage when you're in the stomach, but not when you're in the head, or when you're outside. That being said, this boss fight, for what it's worth, took 15 fucking minutes to do. Because I didn't know that pattern. So you know what we're gonna do? Warp speed! Yeah, I did not know the pattern for this, so this takes me a good 15-20 minutes. Yeah, that's very unfortunate. I make use of the longsword here at least. Longsword's really good for hiding behind the pillars. But yeah, this is a boss fight that takes longer than it should. I would have re-recorded it, but A, it probably would have been a lot faster. B, we wouldn't have seen the accessory that we get. And C, this is funnier. But yeah, for Boss Demon, all you want to do really is jump on his head, stab him until he gets stunned, then willingly get eaten. Which is actually kind of amusing because now that I think about it, the cutscene for Momohime, where she offers herself up as a meal, that is a subtle hint to how to fight the boss. Not the best hint in my opinion, honestly. Because I didn't catch on to that for a good while. I will say this is a good alternate zone to farm souls and money just because of all the little demon dudes that appear. Even if you don't kill some, the boss demon kills some in his own right. Yeah, this takes a lot longer than it should, even when I sped it up like 700%. It's a little ridiculous now I think about it. There, he's dead. Fuck. And for beating the boss demon, we get Dragon God masks. So I didn't have the mask the whole time. Whoops. Next time on Muramasa LP, challenge missions and a little bonus.